raising, in management, and so that they can be sustainable. And then that way, what the women do in turn, they advocate for girls' education. They make sure they work in the communities, the schools that they are attached to, they work with them. And then they make sure the girls stay in school. If a girl doesn't come to school, they find out why she's not in school. They counsel the girls. They also, if they hear of an early marriage case, they intervene to make sure that the girls are left in school until they finish. And then if the girls are not performing also, they find out. So these women, this is what we train them to do. So they are our watchdogs out there in the communities, because they are the ones that live in the communities. They help us make sure we develop these girls.
Do they have problems that is really hindering their contributions to socio-economic development?
The biggest problem for us is, one, most of the women in the rural community are not educated. They are illiterates. So that really hinders them. And because they are not educated, they can be, people can fool them. But now what we do is we make sure they have adult literacy. Another big problem is finance. There's just not enough money. The women are working. Some women, they don't have land, so they have to farm on somebody else's land. So land is another issue for women. And when they farm, they don't have the market also to sell what they have farmed. So these are the few issues. It all boils down to finance. If we have more money to support the women, you will really see a difference.
It is known that rural women are strong, powerful, and capable of taking care of themselves and their families, and are always ready to the challenges of survival.
They produce, and they do not have a say on how much their products cost. They invest a lot of time and energy in producing. Okay, let's look at vegetables, for example. When they produce these vegetables, there are a lot of them in the market. So they are forced to sell at cutaway prices. So they do not have a say. Then the amount of money they have, they use it in the household. Because most of the time, all the condiments in the household, they are the ones who put them there. So it's like a vicious cycle for them. They work hard, they get very little money, and all the little that they have, they also use within the family. They are left with little for themselves. So I think that's what is contributing in their poverty, even though they work a lot.
The rural women face gender disparities in access to and control over land, as well as lack of access to other reproductive resources and services.
We have put some programs in place. One is what we were just doing earlier this year. We call it Rural Women Mobile Project, which is to empower the women through communications, and these women are given mobile phones. It's a pilot project in the URR. So we have 1,000 women with mobile phones right now, and they're using these phones to communicate with each other. Like if there's education issue, there's health issue, there's agriculture. So we make sure that the women communicate with each other. They send messages instead of paying fare and taking time off their work. They will go send messages to the women in the other communities, and if they receive messages, they will in turn share it with those that don't have mobile phones. So this is one way to empower the women. That's one way. And like I said, the other way for us with the Mothers Club also, we give them seed money, which is a small amount, but they work with it. They work with the seed money and they grow it, and they are able to support the schools. So that, for us, it's education, and we know in order for one to get out of poverty, it's through education. Maybe these women, they have not gone to school, but they'll make sure their daughters go to school so that we can end this cycle of poverty. And that's how we are supporting the women.
Rural women's access to education and training can have a major impact on their potentials to access and benefit from income-generating opportunities and improve their overall well-being.
In collaboration with the Ministry of Education and UNICEF, FAWE has been working with the mothers, because they are very instrumental in getting children in school, not only the female children, but even the boys. So what we do is we work with them. In some of the schools, we provide them with skills, with seed money, some amount of money which they use for business, and we provide them with skills so that they can market those skills to top up on what they have. So it's like they are our link within the community. A lot of issues that we want to discuss at community level, we work with them, especially their executive. We have trainings for them on different issues like on violence in schools, on support for their children in school, so that they will be able to trickle down this message within their own communities.
Do you think these rural women will achieve their development goal?
I am praying that they do, and I hope they do. But it also depends on how you look at the development goals, because we all have our little aims and objectives. If you want to look at achieving, the individual has to set goals. It is not what somebody sets as a goal. If I set my goal and I'm able to achieve it, I would have achieved. Maybe for some of them, their goal is being able to take their children to school. If you look at it from that way, most of them would have. If some of them want to live a better life, a better house, most of them would be able. So on a broader time, it depends on how we discuss with them, because if we set the agenda for them, we may say that they have not achieved. But if we ask them to set their own agenda, they would be able to tell us themselves whether they would have achieved or not. Because it's not just about money, it's about self-satisfaction, gratification. Because you set your agenda, you're able to reach there, then you are gratified. It's not like saying that, oh, this is the agenda for women, they should be able to achieve this. Maybe that's not what they want to achieve. So if they are able to achieve that which they set out for themselves, then they would have achieved.
Madam Balde, what do you think are some of the mechanisms that should be put in place for these women by government and NGOs to assist them to achieve their development targets?
Personally, I would believe that in setting those targets, we should set them with them. We should not set the targets and come and tell them these are the targets. We should be able to go down to their level and ask them to set their own targets and tell us how they want to get there. Then we can come back and measure. Yes, because some of the time we set our targets and we think that's what they want to achieve, and that's not what they want to achieve. So maybe it's high time we get to them to set those benchmarks. Then we can do something. Government is doing a lot. Non-governmental organizations are doing it. There's a lot of support going out there. But we really need to go back also to see that support that has been provided. Is it the right type of support? And do they appreciate, or would they want it to continue? Or do they want us to change from what we are doing to what they want us to do? Yeah.
What is the way forward for the rural women in 10 years to come?
The way forward, I believe that charity begins at home. You may give all the training, you can provide all the resources, but it is from within that change has to come. And I would really urge those women who we consider as poor, but for me poverty is relative. Poverty is not about a lack of money. Poverty is a lack of ideas of how to get out of poverty. So if they are able to look at themselves, look at their potential and market those potential and get up and be able to demand their rights. Because it's about knowing where to go, which doors to open to get there. Because you can bring all the resources. Because I have been in a community. This community was trained in tailoring. They were giving machines. But when the project ended, it ended there. When their machines had problems, they didn't have the capacity to repair those machines to move on. So you can give everything to somebody. But if that somebody is not able to harness that inner resource, that inbuilt, because they first have to realize that they have that potential. It's that potential that has to come out from them, for them to be able to get out of that poverty. Because it's not enough to have everything around you. You can have all the ingredients to cook your benachin, but if you don't know how to cook that benachin, you will be hungry. So I think the onus lies on them to look within themselves, plan for themselves, and get out of poverty.
The way forward is for all of us to put hands on deck to support these women. And we support them by bringing